Is there a chance that we see DeMar DeRozan traded by the NBA trade deadline? Gotta ask yourself that question. And then Patrick Williams gets honest about his short leash with Coach Billy Donovan. We're going to talk about it, break it down. But you gotta hear the music first.
Cognac. Gang.
Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's episode of Shy Boys Podcast with me and my co-host C-Dub. If you're tuning in with me today, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Now, we know all the trade talks that's been going around the NBA and specifically the Chicago Bulls. A lot of talk has been talked about Alex Caruso, but more so Zach LaVine as well, since he put in that trade demand earlier in the season. But one name that's not really talked about a lot is DeMar DeRozan. So today, this is why I'm posing a question. Is there a chance that we see DeMar DeRozan out of the Chicago Bulls uniform by the NBA trade deadline? We always got to come to these terms and say there's always a chance, right? There's always room for these type of conversations because with all the things going on with the Chicago Bulls, nothing is guaranteed. You have to look at DeMar DeRozan and his contract as being one of the barriers or one of the reasons we look at this topic for what it really is. It was reported earlier in the season that the Chicago Bulls and DeMar DeRozan are not even close on an extension. But I do want to bring up, this is something that was probably, making his rounds last season with Nikola Vucevic, and we seen in the offseason that the Chicago Bulls got a deal done with him. I know another factor that we got to consider is DeMar DeRozan's age. He's on the other side of 30 right now, and you don't know if you want to go ahead and pay big money to an aging star, because you've seen examples of what that could be like when you look at a guy in Chris Paul and how that contract that the Phoenix Suns gave him later in his 30s, they got rid of him. They got rid of him. So, and then you got to think about, all right, will the Bulls absolutely let him walk away for free? Will the Chicago Bulls let DeMar DeRozan walk for free? I mean, walk for nothing, pretty much. Walk away for nothing. So I got to ask y'all this question for today. How would y'all feel if the Chicago Bulls just allowed DeMar DeRozan to just walk away? What if the Chicago Bulls come to the table, they bring up DeMar DeRozan's play, or they come up to the podium and talk about DeMar DeRozan's play? They talk about his mentorship to the young guys and how it helped them develop into NBA basketball players. The Ayo Dosunmus, the Dalen Terrys, the Kobe Whites, the Patrick Williams, and his help with all that. And they just say, hey, job well done. We're going to allow you to go out here and make your own decisions in free agency for what you want for the rest of your career. How would y'all feel about that? Huh? How would y'all feel if the Bulls front office just came and said, DeMar DeRozan, thank you. We're not going to trade you. You're going to have that decision to make for yourself at the end of the season. It's a possibility. It's a possibility because we got to look at what this front office has done thus far with the Chicago Bulls. And so far, they have been reluctant to make any moves near the trade deadline. They always let the trade deadline go past them and look to the buyout market. Outside of that 1 year where they traded for Nikola Vucevic at the deadline, the last few deadlines have been, we're going to chill, sit on our hands and wait for it to see if we can get a guy in the buyout market. That's been the thing. So that's why I have to pose that question. So down below, y'all let me know, because it's a tricky situation. It's a tricky situation. If you had to ask me on what I would do, me personally, I'll be looking to move DeMar DeRozan at the trade deadline. That's just what it really is. This is a business. This is a organization that's kind of rocking back and forth on what they want to be. And I believe that the Bulls front office and this organization needs to pick a direction. I believe one of the driving forces of that could be Kobe White. And you need to continue to build out this team. I'm not saying you have to go and get rid of everybody, but you got to start making some moves to start planning for that future. So I would go out and not let DeMar DeRozan walk away for nothing. And you recoup some assets as much as you can and maybe a player. That's what you should look towards. But it should be about establishing new things for this team. But that's just my opinion on what they should be doing. But that's why it has to always come in our minds. Yes, this is one thing of what you would do, but we have to look at the opposite side just in case it doesn't go that way in our favor. So I'm on the side of you trade DeMar DeRozan by the trade deadline. It's going to be a shocker. It's going to surprise a lot of people, but you can't let the guy walk out the door for nothing. I understand all the things that he's done for the Chicago Bulls. He's all the plays that he's made for the Chicago Bulls, the mentorship, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a business, man. It's a business. So you got to go ahead and you got to make business decisions. And if you want a successful business, you got to make tough decisions. Tough decisions. You know what I'm saying? But who knows? They could let him just rock out for the rest of the season and re-sign him. Whatever that number is going to look like, that's what that number is going to look like. And we just got to wait to see what happens as we inch closer and closer to this trade deadline to see if anybody's going. I believe there's a chance Zach LaVine stays. But, especially with injuries and all the concerns and all that stuff, it could be something you got to think. It's something we always have to think about. We just can't expect it to always go our way. But let me know down below how you feeling about that. Before we get up out of here, I want to talk about P. Will. Patrick Williams, after the last game, got pretty honest about him being aggressive in the short leash that Billy Donovan has placed on him. I know after that, I believe in that game, the last game that the Bulls played against the Grizzlies, Patrick Williams was yanked out of the lineup early because he wasn't being aggressive enough and he wasn't taking advantage of the opportunities that were presented to him early in the game. Billy Donovan got him out of there. And Patrick Williams came out and pretty much said, and quote, I think definitely I felt it. So he didn't need to tell me that, talking about Billy Donovan. I already knew what it was. A lot of my teammates were already on me about just shooting the ball, having those dialogues, whether it's him taking me out or guys getting on me. That's what development and learning is all about. It's not always going to be pretty. I got to commend Patrick Williams on that. Way to have self-awareness, way to hold yourself accountable, and way to support your coach in his decision of not playing around with you when you pussyfooting all around on the basketball court. You are a fourth-year player now with expectations, with the skill set and the talent that you have to take advantage of those opportunities, Patrick Williams. So I'm not mad at Billy Donovan. And so I'm commending Billy Donovan as well. I know we got up on Billy Donovan about certain young players receiving more receiving more opportunities, but one has to keep it a buck. If these guys are not ready, they are not ready. Because if these guys come out and receive their opportunity, they have to take advantage of those said opportunities, whether it's in 4 minutes or 5 minutes. You got to go out here and be impactful and help establish belief within myself that you, as my player, can go out here and execute and do just about everything I need you to do for this team. It was something we got up on Billy Donovan before, but if you look at it, if you're not being productive at your job, do you not expect to take a lesser role or be let go? Exactly. It's the same thing that applies here. And at one point, we wanted to give Billy Donovan a lot of flack because he wasn't giving guys opportunities. But the reality is that these guys wasn't taking advantage of those opportunities, and they just wasn't ready. So I got to commend Billy Donovan on this. Again, this is not a debate about if Billy Donovan is a good or great coach. It's about one thing and one thing only right now, and that is that the guys that he's placing there out on the courts have to execute the plan. There's going to be mistakes, but there are things you can't control. And in this sense, Patrick Williams, if you got smaller guys on you, or if you do a crossover into the lane and you have the lane to to attempt the basket, you have to attempt that basket. It's the same thing with Dalen Terry last year. If you come out and you're erratic and you seem like the game is moving too fast for you to the point to where you're causing turnovers, your jump shot is not ready, you ain't gonna play. That's what it is. And I love Dalen Terry and what what he can bring. And I advocated for Dalen Terry to get more minutes. But in hindsight, if you look at it all, Billy Donovan was right the entire time. And he wasn't ready. Now he's a little bit more ready, speaking on Dalen Terry here. So now he can receive more opportunities. And in those opportunities, more likely than not, these last few games, Dalen Terry looked like the game has slowed down. 3 is a bit shaky, but he's hitting some of them. You know what I'm saying? And the defensive intensity is there. So he can get more minutes. That's what it has to come down to. We just can't hand out minutes for the sake of just liking players. They have to execute for the logo and the name that's on the front of the jersey. And that's Chicago Bulls, ladies and gentlemen. So we got to just go ahead and chalk it up. Commend Billy Donovan, and I commend Patrick Williams for taking ownership. And that's how it should be for every player on this team, to be held to that same standard. That's what it comes down to for me personally. But hey, that's it for me today. Make sure you tune in and hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts and your comments below as well. If you want to call in and give your take and leave something on the voicemail to be featured on our mailbag episodes where we play your voicemail and react to them, call in. The number is 773-242-9219. This is another episode of Shy Bulls Podcast. I'm Bobby. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.